Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome to episode 54 of the Elements Dev Diary. Now, this is the first episode of 2025, and I haven't got too much to show you this week because late last year, we started getting feedback on the UI in Elements and how there's a lot of panels, and there can be quite a lot of clicking around. And that prompted us to do a bit of work on the UI. And we thought it was going to be a quick change, but as with most things, this snowballed and we wanted to make it really good. So we've put in the extra effort, and this is turning out to be a fantastic feature for the UI to make it really configurable. Now, I don't have anything to show you now because it's not finished and we kind of want to wait until it's a bit more polished. So hopefully next week I'll be able to show you what we've been working on there. But it does fix a lot of the things you guys have been saying about the general UI. I did reply to this on the forum just to let everyone know. So if you haven't read this post, go and read that. There's a bit more detail in there. The other thing that was talked about recently is the pre-built components. We had them quite a while ago, and they were self-contained components that you could drop on, and they were like complete banners or complete cards that kind of offered a bit of customization. Now, we removed those because we don't think it's the right way to go, but don't worry, hold on. They are coming back in a different form, because since then we've reworked the core components and we're currently on version 2, and so we're going to use those core components and we're going to package up some pre-built layouts, and those will be your pre-built components. Now, I think we're going to call them templates. This was suggested by Brian on the forum. Great suggestion, makes a lot more sense. So those are going to be some templates that you can just drop into your page, and there'll be different types of layouts. So it'll be really easy to come into Elements and just drop these templates in your page and have a fully working website in literally minutes, rather than having to get down in the nitty-gritty of the components and working out how everything works, which is really tough if you're new and kind of not from a web design background. So the idea behind the templates is to have these really easy things to drop in for newer users who are not so familiar with the web and know how this stuff works. So you can kind of get going, and then once you get a little bit more confident, you can start tweaking the settings and start using the raw components and building anything you want. So super, super powerful stuff. That's all coming. As I said, not got anything to show you this week, so I thought we'd just use Elements this week, and I can build a graphical banner and maybe go over a few bits that even if you're used Elements, you might not be aware of. So there's a few nice little things in there, and Elements is such a massive app now, and there's so much you can do with it and so many settings for the components. I'm often finding stuff that I haven't actually used before when building sites, because there's just so many options and so many different ways to use it. So hopefully you'll get something out of this, whether you're new to Elements or whether you've kind of been using it for the last 6 months. So, before I get into that, I just want to say, if there's features you want, and it's great, post on the forum, we can talk about that and I can reply. But if there's things you want, do remember to post on the roadmap. Now, this post here is bookmarked at the top of the Elements category. So Elements roadmap and feature requests, always pinned to the top if you need to find it. So go there, and we've got links to the roadmap, so you can view the roadmap, boom, and you can make a suggestion. Now, this currently lists out what we have planned, what's in progress, what's undecided, and what's completed. Now, if I go to most voted, you can also go to here and vote for the features you want. Now, do go and vote on the things you want, because we are going to tackle these kind of in this order. We think that's a good way to do it because it's you guys, and we can kind of get an overview. Then everyone can get an overview of what's required and what people want. So go and vote on these, and if there's a feature that's not listed, do have a little search before you post, but you can make a suggestion here, and and then you can see if other users want that and they can vote it up. And if it's a good idea, it will get voted up and we'll implement it sooner. So yeah, so don't forget about that. Do go and do that. Yeah, that's good. Right, that out the way, let's get on with Elements. So let's launch Elements. Boom. You'll notice how quick this loads. This is everything's loaded in less than seconds. It's just so quick. So here we are. We've got a blank document. Let's call this home. This is my home page. I'm going to go to my components and we're going to create a big banner. So I want a nice big header with a background image, some text, and I want an overlaid menu bar. So I'm going to start with a container, and that's how most designs start because we need that wrapper. And on the sizing, I'm going to set the height to screen. And this will set the container to the height of the screen, so that's always going to stretch. And we can always change this later, but for now, this is good. This is what I want. So let's get an image in here. I haven't got any resources, but I do have some that I prepared earlier because I knew I was going to be building this. So let's drop these in. Now I've got a little logo and I've got some pictures of camping and mountains and blah blah blah, which is nice. And what I can do to organize these, I can select the ones I want, right click and say new folder from selection. Boom, and I'll call this one my photos. So that's really nice. We can do a new folder and I could call this one assets, if this is kind of my, actually let's call that brand assets, because if I was building a site, this is where I'd keep all my brand assets, surprisingly. So this is nice and organized, and remember these resources will get exported in this structure. And this is just a nice way, as your site grows and you get more stuff, this is just a nice way to keep things organized, so you can easily find things. Remember, you can always search as well. Right, let's get on with this. So I'm highlighting my container and I want to put the background image in here. So I'm going to go to static, and rather than a color, which is currently selected there, we want an image. So I'll click on the image, and all I need to do is drop one of these in. Boom, there we are, and now it's set the background image. So we're already looking pretty good. Let's go back to our components, and I want some text in here. So drop my text in, and let's get this to something we can see. I'm going to set the text to white by changing the color. We'll go back to general, and then let's increase the size. I'm going to want this to be pretty big. That's a good size, but there's too much text. Let's call this the Great Outdoors. That's looking good. Under general again, I'm going to align it center here. That's looking nice. And I think I want this all uppercase. So rather than me do it manually, I'm just going to change the case here and set that to uppercase. That's looking good. Might want that a little bit heavier. So this is already looking nice. And I can set the tag here to heading 1. This is just for semantics, so Google knows that it's the heading. It doesn't change the look of it. Let's pick a new font. So I'm going to open the Theme Studio, and I'm going to go to my font families, and we're going to add a new font. Let's just call this Outdoors. And I'm going to go Google Font, and I know for this site that I wanted Rubik. I looked this up before. This is a nice font, and this is something that this is used in the classic Aspen theme, which seems very popular. So let's use that. So I've created a custom font, and I've set it to a Google font there of Rubik. And if we come in here, I can now select it from our drop down. Boom, and that is looking very nice already. I'm happy with that. Right, so next we want let's have a look. We want a navigation bar for our site, which I'm going to drop in here. And very standard navigation, looks very standard, plain, boring at the moment, but we can fix that. So the first thing we want to do, right now it's sitting above the container. And what we really want, we want it to sit at the over the top of the banner. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to position this absolute, and you'll notice this disappeared, and that's because it's now sitting behind the banner, and we want to bring it in front of the banner. And so what we need to do is set the Z index, and I can do this here, and let's just increase that. Really, we can set it, let's just set it to 100, so we're sure this always sits at the top of our site. So now this banner is actually, this menu is actually sitting over our banner, which is exactly what we want. And we can get rid of the background color. If I come down here, I can just move the opacity down, and now our text is sitting on top of our banner, which is very nice. Let's have a look. I've got some spacing in. I want to make this a bit taller, so I'm just going to add some padding to this. Let's see, 5. That's pretty good. Right. Next, we're going to need to change our font color and our logo and things like that. Start making it look a little bit nicer. So what I want to do, I've gone to the logo here of the banner, and I want to turn this into a drop zone. So rather than using a title, or I could use the logo, and the logo is set up in the site settings, but that is just for ease there. If it's kind of like a beginner's way to do it, but what I like to do is use a drop zone, and then I can put whatever I want in here, whether it's an image or an SVG. And in this case, I'm going to put in an SVG. And as you saw earlier, we had our little tent logo, so I'm just going to drop that on there. Looking pretty good. We want to change the sizing on this. Let's bring it down a little bit. So this site is looking pretty good already. Now we're going to need to change our text styles. So this is the active page. We want to change the default as well, and the active. Let's add some more pages just so we can see the difference here. Let's add camping and about us. Okay, so the default, let's bring this down a little bit. Yeah, so you can see these fading because that's the default state for menu items, and this one here is the active state. So I've just brought that down to 50%. So now we've got a nice little rollover, and you can tell which page you're on by the highlight. So that's looking good. Over here, I've got another drop zone we don't have to use. If I go and preview this in the browser, you'll see it's disappeared. That's because it's an empty drop zone not being used. We'll take a moment to have a look at our site, which is looking very nice. And that's just in a few minutes we put that together with me rambling along. Let's go back to the components, and I can drop a button in here. This could be useful for booking if I was running a campsite. So I could say book now, although that doesn't really fit in with the style. So let's change that. Let's have a look. At the start, I don't think I want a background. At the end, we want a white color, and we'll just do a little hover, which is okay. But let's put a border on this, static, and we'll set this to 2, the width to 2. If I wanted to change the width to 1, I could click the little theme icon here, because these are using the setups from your theme, or I could switch it to manual and change the border to 1, but I'm going to stick with 2, and we're going to make the border white again. There we go, and I'm just going to do let's do a little medium border on here. And yes, I know I'm doing this 4 times. We're going to fix these controls so you can link them together and just change it once. That's coming. Don't worry. The main thing is it works. So these niceties that link things and improvements in controls will come later, but it's better that it works and you can use it. So let's change I've gone to spacing here because I'm just changing how big this button is to make it a little bit smaller. The padding on it. And I might just go and let's click back on that. I might just go and change the font size. Let's put that down to small. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And I could increase the, I could change the font as well to outdoors. Nice. And let's change the font for the menu as well. Let's change it all to my font there. Let's make that large. Yeah, that is looking pretty nice. I'm going to go back thinner on that and maybe bump that up to base. Let's go and have a look in the browser. This is really shaping up, and these are the kind of things that we will have in the templates. When we build those templates, we'll be building out banners for you, content sections, you know, with images and text aligned, stuff like that. So you can just take these, boom, drop them straight in, and you've already got a beautiful banner. So let's Command C, Command V. I'm going to copy and paste that because I want a little subheading on here. There's no better place. Too big. Let's make this smaller to get that looking a bit nicer. I think probably smaller there. Looks good. I probably don't need a full stop either. Right, that's looking nice. This is looking very nice. What I would like this text to animate in when someone visits the site. So we're going to use the reveal component. Let's drop that in. And I'm going to duplicate this because I want 2 of these. And the duration, I've got them both selected because I'm editing them both at the moment because I kind of know what I want. I want these both to fade in up, which we've got at the moment, and the delay 500, but actually I want a longer delay on the other one. Let's put 1,000. So the top one comes in first and the other one follows it. Let's have a look. So I've got my text, drop that in there, and my other text there. And because this reveal element is a wrapper, it's shrunk to our text and left aligned it, but we want to recenter it. And as with most of these items, how we recenter these is in spacing. And under margin and padding, we need to set both margins to auto. And in CSS, that will center align an object. Now, this feels unintuitive because you're kind of working with the raw CSS almost here. You know, these are really powerful, these controls, and with that comes a bit of a compromise. We could have put left align, right align, and things like that on these objects, but it's a bit limiting. So that's why these are kind of our core elements are really pro and flexible, and they take a little bit of getting used to. And again, that is why we'll have the templates to make it easy for users. So what I'm going to do, let's select both of these reveals. And on the spacing for both of them, we want to set this margin to auto on both sides, and that will center align it. Now, if I only set one side, it's going to align it left, or if I do the other one, it's going to align it right. But we want it center. Perfect. So now I've got my 2 reveals. Let's have a look at the settings here. Yeah, so this one will come in. Oh, and they're both moving 200 pixels, which I think is too much. Let's try that. So if we go and preview this in the browser now, we'll see how it looks. There we go. Let me refresh that because that looks very nice. Let's hide elements. And if we refresh, just slides in. So again, really quickly, we've built this up, and it kind of just shows the power of elements, how easy this stuff is to do once you know how those controls work. But it's really flexible. You can really build anything. So let's go back here. So now let's look at how globals work and global overrides. So if you've not looked at those or you don't know about those, this is a very brief look because they're super, super powerful and you can do so much with them. But we want this banner. I want this entire thing. I want this on all my pages. So what we're going to do, let's turn, I could wrap these in, I'm wondering whether I should wrap this in another container, and then we'll just we'll do that, or we could do these separately. Like if I convert this to a global, Then we've got our container here, which I'm going to rename, and we'll call this banner. And then we've got our menu, which we could convert to a global. If I wanted these two things together, I could have wrapped them in another container and done it that way. But for the sake of this, we're not going to do that. I'm just going to do these two separate things. And we're going to call this menu. So now I know I've got these globals. I've got a menu and a banner, and I can use these anywhere on my site. So if I go over to my camping page, and I can drop in a banner, and let's drop in the menu as well. Boom. And now we'll go. We can change the page here rather than flipping back. Let's go banner and menu. Okay, so let's go and preview this in the browser. So now I can click between my pages and they all look the same, which is really not what we wanted. I mean, the highlight at the top is changing, which is great. But they all stay the same and they all look the same. And this is where globals are really powerful. So our homepage looks good. Let's go to camping and change this. Now we're going to want to override some of these settings for the global. So on our background, I'm going to go to, on our container, I'm going to go to background, and I'm going to break the link with the global. And that means this content is, we're overriding this content, and the link to the original image is broken, and we can override it and put something else in. So on here, we want a different image. I'm going to break the link, and let's use this camping one. Boom. So now let's go and view this in the browser. And if we go home, it's the original one, camping, and it's the camping image. Really cool stuff. We've also got this text, and we don't want that to say the same thing. So what we can do, we can use this global override here. And this is to override text content. You generally use these. So we're going to switch this on, and that means I can change this text. Let's camp outdoors. Oh, so there. Let me change this back because I've done. This is quite a common thing that I do. I didn't do the override, so we need to do the override. And now these will be custom on this page. So let's go and view that. And home. So now we've got the original image, original text, and on this page, see, we're still keeping that same animation, which is the really cool thing about globals. I can go back here, and if I change these reveal animations, they're going to change on all the pages. So if, for example, if we wanted these to slide in, and we could have them rotate in, let's just say 20, and they're going to go that way. And this will happen on all the pages. That should happen on all the pages. Why did that not happen there? There may be a slight bug there, because that should have happened. Let's have a look. Oh, unless it was cached by the browser, because that has updated. Let's go and have a look. Oh, those changes are not coming through when they should. Could be a slight bug there I need to look into. So this is beta, but okay. Yeah, I'm guessing About Us will still be the same. Yeah. All right. So that is something we need to look into there. That's a little bug. But that's no problem. We will get that fixed. Let's have a look here. Fade. I'm just switching these back. Let's check that. Yeah. All right. We're back to where we were. That should work, and it will work. Beta software, what you're going to do. All right. And we can do the same on the About Us page. Let's just quickly break the link, add in some fire. And again, we'll override the text in both of these places. There we go. So now on each page, we've got different text and a different image. And it's sliding in nicely. This is all looking very cool. On our menu, we could add a little bit of a frosty effect here. Let's put on the filters, static, and I'm going to do a background blur, set that to 10, and that will, it's blurring the content behind there. And we might want to put on a little drop shadow there. You can see that just appearing there. Nice, brings that frosted glass effect forwards. Oops, yeah, I think the browser's caching some things here because that is definitely changed. Let's just update the content. That's Safari being a little bit naughty there. So maybe that's what was up with the rotations. We could test that. Let's do this live and test that, because I don't know if that was Safari or Elements with this. Let's change this. We'll do light speed and we'll make it go the other way. Let's just check this. So that's working. Yeah, see, it's not doing it there, but it is. What we can do, let's preview this again. Let me copy that, and we'll do a new private window. Still not doing it. Maybe that is our bug. We will definitely look into that. So it's all good, right? This site is looking pretty good for something we've just put together very quickly. It's looking nice. Now what I would want to do, I think the sizing on the full screen is too much, so let's go. I want a custom size on this, so I pick theme, and then these are not, I don't want these. I mean, I could create more. I could create more spacing sizes in here, which would use this. Like I could add one in here, but this is done in pixels and rem. So I could say, well, I want this. Let's say 550. Oh, we need to add a text box there. So I could add that to 550, and then I could select it in here. But as this is a global, what I want to do is put in a pixel value. So I could say 600px or 650 maybe. Boom. So now our banner is 650, and then I could start by getting working away and adding my content underneath this. Again, spacing, let's add some padding on there. So 40. We'll drop some text in, and I could start building out my pages and doing all my content like that. But I think that gives you enough of an idea, and hopefully you've learned a few little tips and tricks from this. There is one thing that I thought was worth mentioning actually that is really handy. Content layout. So on here, the content layout is just set to auto, but what you can do, you can set a gap there. So if you want to space things out further, you can do this, and that would do it for all items in here. So let's move that down, make that lower, set that to 0. So they're all butted up together. Now these are only not butted up because of the line height on the text, which, can just make that smaller. General line height. So now, let's go back to the content layout. Yeah, and then you can make these things further apart. And this is quite nice if you didn't want to wrap these things in a flex, because that is the other way to do it. You can leave that on content auto, and then you can drop a flex box in here, and then you can drop all your items into, let's put that back in there. You can drop all your items into the flex and use the controls of the flex box to change the gap. Now, you would put these in a flex box if you want more control over their alignment and how it changes between mobile and things like that. So if you want more control, then you can do it. You can put them in a flex box, but it's nice that you don't have to do that. Let's pop that back in the banner, and we can get rid of the flex, remove flex, and we don't want that button. And let's just change that. 4, 5. So let me delete that content there. And I'll delete that as well. So I'll publish this along with the video, just so you can download this and have a little poke around and a little play straight away. Yeah. So I hope you found that useful, and we'll be back next week with another Dev Diary video, and hopefully I'll have a few new things to show off as the whole team is back at it, full speed ahead this week, working on lots of exciting stuff. So can't wait to show that all off to you. And yeah, have a great week, and I'll see you on the forum. Cheers, bye.